Hello and welcome back. Today I wanted to do a review to follow up on my last one. Last time around we looked at the Ripper Unstable blades. Now this one you'll probably remember from the last video, a clear unstable blade, lightning etching, craft glitter inside, clear tube. The Pearl Unstable blades is a $20 upgrade or a $20 more expensive model. So let's talk about the difference. The primary difference between the Pearl and the regular Unstable is right here. Diffusion film. Okay, now you notice the camera's picking it up a little bit here, but you notice that purple-green sort of opalescent hue to it. Ripper uses a different type of diffusion film than other places. They use this sort of opal diffusion film in their blades. That's what I guess gives it the Pearl name. It adds to an interesting effect. For those of you who diffuse blades on your own, you can get a standard Ripper blade and diffuse it yourself. The problem with that is this film is a lot harder to work with than standard diffusion film. It's crinkly, it wrinkles easily, it's more difficult to cut. Also, if you do it that way, then you end up with those remnants of that glitter in the blade pressed up against your diffusion film. Now, personally, I don't find that to be too big of a problem, but I'll show it to you in both formats here. What we have here, this is the other blade that was in my last video, diffused with that film. This is a Ripper Unstable Pearl Dueling blade as it comes. The slight difference in hue here is because this is a thick wall and this is a thin wall. I also have here a blue one. You can see that same lightning etching. And a black one. Now black is one of the main differences between the Pearl and the regular Unstable. The regular Unstable does not come in black, whereas the Pearl does. Also, the Pearl Unstable does not come in clear, whereas the regular does. If you want a clear Pearl Unstable blade, you have to diffuse it yourself. Alright, so the other difference is, other than the cost, is that the Pearl blades are offered in larger sizes. You can get these up to 35 inches, whereas the others capped out at 30, I believe. And the other difference is the cost of the side blades. If you order side blades on top of a Pearl blade, you're paying $25 for the first set of side blades and $50 for both sets, so $25 even. Whereas on the regular, you're paying $10 and then you're paying $30. So it's a little bit cheaper to get the side blades with the original. I don't know if this is an oversight on the website or if the diffusion film on the polycarbonates has upped the price of all of them. But the side blades are a little bit more expensive on this one as well. The effect of them. Let me go ahead and run through some RGB on one of these. I'll use the blue here. So here's the blue with a red light, a green light, a blue light, and some blends. This is a blue-green. This is a yellow. This is a purple. And this is a white. Now, one thing that you'll notice right off the bat, if you remember the unstable blades before, there was that dim spot or dull spot right here. The diffusion film helps keep the illumination going all the way up the blade. You notice that same sort of ragged edge, not as pronounced on here, but the same sort of ragged edge. Let me put a thick blade in here. There we go. So on the thick blades, we actually get more of that ragged edge. I'm actually going to talk about this in just a second. So one of the things that the camera actually doesn't pick up that I can maybe show you with the red is that if you are using, I mentioned in the other video about the idea of the lightning coming through slightly differently than the rest of it because they dye the blade and then they etch through it for the lightning. So you can see more clearly on the Pearl blade that the lightning is clear, whereas the rest of the blade is red. Right? What that means is that if you're running red through it, you don't really get much difference. The lightning is red, the blade is red, it's a slightly different color of red. If you're running off colors through it, like green, you end up with a very interesting effect here because the red sort of eats the green where the red is visible and it shines through where it's not. So you end up with this sort of kryptonite blade or radioactive blade because the lightning really pops. but the rest of the blade gets a lot more dull. Okay, that same thing holds true of blue on a red. So the unstable blades on off colors, colors that are not the main blade color, makes the lightning pop quite a bit. The other interesting thing about them is with blend colors that do include the main blade color. For instance, this is a red blade, so if I turn on my red LED, all I've got is that red. But if I turn on the red LED and the green LED, the camera's not picking this up as well as it could, but the blade and the lightning are entirely different colors and both illuminated. The red light is coming through the red blade, but the green light is blocked. Both the red and the green are coming through the lightning. So what I end up with here that's not translating too well is a red blade with bright yellow lightning. Okay, same thing holds true if I take away the green and add blue. I have a red blade with purple lightning. If I turn on all three colors, I have a red blade with white lightning, which actually looks really neat. So with blend colors or with whites, the unstable pearl is very, very interesting because that lightning becomes an entirely different color than the rest of the blade. Now that holds true with the blue as well. If I run red through it, the blue is a little bit more friendly with the red, but you can see it up here. I get kind of a purple for the blade. I get bright red for the lightning. If I run red and green through it, I get sort of a green color for the blade and I get a yellow color for the lightning. If I run all three colors through it, I get a blue color for the blade and I get a whitish purple for the lightning. So blue is a little bit more friendly than red. They offer these things in green and purple as well as the black. The black works a little bit differently. I'll get to that in just a second. But off colors make the lightning pop. Blend colors make the lightning and the blade pop. All right, the black, actually before I get to the black, let me talk about the difference between the thin wall and the thick wall. Okay, you notice that in the thin wall and thick wall, the lightning pops a lot more on the thick wall. That's because there's this transparent part, and so the lightning actually goes past the edge of the blade diffusion film, so it looks like the lightning is sticking out and the edge is more ragged. With the thin wall, the edge of the diffusion film and the edge of the actual blade are closer together. So let me just show a side by side here. Okay, so after juggling everything around, thin wall, thick wall, red. Using red light, purple light, white light. You see the difference? The one on my right, the lightning goes much further than the edge of the light tube or the core of the blade, whereas the one on my left, the lightning and the edge, or the lightning is just a little bit further than the edge of the blade. The other difference is that because of all of the clear space in the thick wall, if I just run a green through it, the lightning pops a lot more on this one than it does on this one because there's more clear space to diffuse and for it to go through. But both are interesting effects, just something to keep in mind. The other interesting thing about this, I said that the black blade was available as a pearl, but not as a regular. All right, let me go ahead and fire up the black just to show you. Okay, so here is the black with the green. Blue. Green, blue, purple. That one I think is one of the more evident on, or reads better on the camera. Pink. White. Lime green. Red. Yellow. And back to green. Okay, so one of the things that you'll notice about the black, and that's one of the big advantages of the pearl blade, is that you can get it in black. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite blades. For one, it just looks straight up sexy on the right saber, this black lightning blade. For two, it allows you to have access to the full RGB, whereas if you're dealing with the color day blades, The blue is going to tint everything blue. You're going to be dealing with purples, dark blues, light blues. You can play with the lightning, but it's going to be an overall blue blade. The reds are going to be an overall red blade. The black just adds augmentation to whatever color you're running through it. It looks really good in white, but it becomes a black, white, and gray blade. If you put it in red, it looks like a lava blade because you have dark red and light red. You put it in blue, a water blade, green, dark green, a moss blade, but it gives you shades within the color that you're using. So for color switching, the black is actually probably my favorite option just because of the versatility of it. If you're really in love with red blades or blue blades or whatever, then the other unstables are really good, and they look really nice in the daytime as well, as you can see with this black one. All right, now I mentioned about them not coming in white or clear. Now, when I talked to the people over at Ripper Blades, they mentioned that they didn't offer them, or they were thinking about maybe doing it, but they hadn't been offering them in clear because there just wasn't as much difference. The lightning didn't pop. What you do see in clear, let me go ahead and load up a white here. This is white light, but you notice the color that translates to the camera is actually kind of a purple. That's because of this diffusion film that they use. I actually shot a video that I'll link in the description to this one, where I created this clear blade and ran some RGB through it. But if I get it real close to the camera here, let's see. This is the thick wall, by the way, so you notice the difference between the lightning edge and the blade edge. No, I can't get it close enough for this camera to focus in. What it ends up being, because of this diffusion film, is a core blade. So for white, I end up with a purple core, white outside, and then lightning on top of that. If I run another blend through it, like a yellow, I end up with a red core, a yellow outside, and then lightning beyond that. So the clear actually adds a different layer to it altogether. Again, they don't offer this. You have to make your own using the clear blade from the Unstable. But that may change in future, so don't fact check me on that. Once this video starts to get a little bit old, go to the site and find out for yourself. So about making your own, like I mentioned, this film is a little bit difficult to work with, but you can certainly get it. Once you put it in there, it kind of locks the glitter in the regular Unstable blade to the edge. I actually kind of dig that because it gives it that granular look, but it means that if your glitter all piled up in the base, you're not going to be able to even it out to the rest of the saber. So so if you're making your own, something to be wary of. If you want to spend the extra money and have Ripper make it for you, they make a really decent one. They end up dealing with the difficult film for you. You don't have to find or buy it. And they'll glue it in place, which is really nice. Also, you get the ability to get the black, which is worth the $20 difference all by itself. And you get the ability to have longer blades at no additional cost. So, all things told, if you're going to get the side blades, I suggest get the original Unstable blade. Diffuse it yourself if you want to. I actually prefer the diffusion a whole lot more than just the standard see-through. If you're not going to get the side blades, or if you want the black, then this is a really good option for it. And as I've mentioned in the other videos, consider it a saber upgrade. This black is a really good example of that. I mean, this is a Vader's Vault Tempest right here with some accents, and the whole thing together is a rather stunning piece when you put this black blade on it, and you just don't get that with a standard white or clear or dual diffused blade. Okay, so these things are really kind of triple diffused. I mean, diffused with the dye, diffused with the film, and diffused with the lightning etching. If you've made your own, then it's actually quadruple because you've got the glitter in it as well. So just above and beyond in terms of eye-catching. They are expensive though, so you are paying for that eye-catching. Like I said, $120 for one of these things. So hopefully that's been of use to you. If it has, join me back for some more reviews, or look at some of the videos that I've got up where I spin some of these things around so that you can see them during the night and at day. Join me back for more videos.